Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get to James Comer's investigation of the Autopen in a second, and we'll also get to Chairman Loudermilk's report, Republican, Georgia, his report on Liz Cheney and others potentially committing serious felonies, destroying evidence, witness tampering. We can go on forever. But this, ladies and gentlemen, and hit subscribe, is exactly why the Autopen pardons will be null and void, will potentially be null and void, or there's indictments based on things that criminal activity, potential criminal activity that took place after the pardons. But check this out.
Who ordered White House officials to cover up a declining president?
I know that that is a narrative that you love, and no, wait, hold on. It is not a cover-up. I know that is the narrative that you all want. It is not.
So, if it turns out that President Biden or his key advisors knew that he had serious health problems like prostate cancer, then that was a lie. Harris?
Peter Doocy, thank you very much.
So God bless Biden. I want him healthy. I want him, safe and healthy and living a much longer life. And I want him to survive, the health ailment that he has right now. Almost certainly, though, he committed numerous examples of bribery and graft linked to that laptop. The laptop is linked to preemptive pardons, Autopen pardons, almost certainly Autopen pardons, where potentially Biden didn't know what he was doing. That's why Hollywood and what's his name? George Clooney. That's why George Clooney wrote that op-ed. So the question is, why did George Clooney write an op-ed calling for Biden to step down? Okay. The answer to that question is the Autopen pardons are now pretty much null and void. If indeed there was a concerted effort to hide Biden's mental or cognitive decline, then any pardon associated, preemptive pardons, whether it's Falsey or Schiff or Cheney or others, that's not constitutional. If you are a president and you don't know exactly what you're doing, and your mental your physical and mental capacities or abilities are so diminished that Hollywood is now writing op-eds to try to remove you and have the vice president usurp you for the after he won his primary, by the way. But he was usurped by his vice president, Kamala Harris, after Biden won his primary. So number one, Democrats don't even have functioning primaries. And there's this checklist of authoritarians and tyrants and despots. You couldn't make a greater correlation between the modern day Democratic Party and tyrants and despots and authoritarians and fascists, who, by the way, don't even have functioning primaries. Okay, guess what? One hallmark of a despot is that the political party, or one person chooses or one person runs the show, or the political party runs the show. And so in this case, the political party is all powerful, catapulted Biden, said he was fine, lied about, his cognitive abilities, kicked him out after he won his primary, 8 years after they cheated Bernie Sanders in a primary. Then there's, here we have, not only do we have witness tampering, according to Chairman Loudermilk in a report, witness tampering linked to Liz Cheney, potentially linked to Liz Cheney, in addition to destroying evidence. So members of the January committee, possibly Liz Cheney and a whole bunch of other people, were preemptively pardoned. Adam Schiff was, Kinzinger was, but they possibly knew about the witness tampering or engaged in destroying government records, serious felony. Then you have Comer right now, James Comer in the House, demanding, House Oversight Committee, demanding investigation of the cover-up of Biden's mental decline while he was offering pardons. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, is Democrats pontificate about democracy, but they don't really like democracy because they kicked Biden, they catapulted Biden in a primary that was just as much of a farce as 2016 and 2024. They cheated Bernie Sanders also in 2020, which is somewhat amusing in a morbid way. And you have, let's see, Biden being catapulted into the White House, 4 years, he wins his primary. Then they cheat him in his own primary, a sitting president. They're so embarrassed of one debate. Hollywood and George Clooney write an op-ed to kick the most popular presidential candidate in the history of this country out of office, less than 4 years after he won the most, magnificent victory, right? And so then Democrats say, oh, well, there's nothing to be seen here because the preemptive pardons mean nothing. But Hunter's laptop, by the way, had almost certain bribery and graft. The rebuttal is, well, the key witness said there was no bribery. Wrong. The key witness said that nobody accepted money with their hands, like that a check or that money wasn't given to Joe or everyone he preemptively pardoned. But you'd be stupid to do that. You obviously wouldn't do that. The way the Clinton Foundation possibly works, or the way that Biden and Hunter's laptop possibly worked, was that they utilized their prestige and power and influence within the U.S. government to enrich themselves by accepting money in a manner that, let's say, a charitable foundation or a vice president and his family shouldn't accept, and then gave favors. That is the issue. That is what's being accused. That's what was being covered up by 50 intel officials. And you have a whole bunch of examples of bribery and graft where donations and money is being given, but it's always to shell companies. But check this out. That's how, and then Democrats are saying, oh, he accepted a plane. But the plane, you're okay with the foundation that is linked to endless bribery and graft and a laptop that was, 50 intel officials literally went to bat for the Bidens and Democrats. And all of the scandals associated with that, billions of dollars associated with that in scandal. But no, the plane, which, by the way, I agree. In a world where that's another story. But it's nothing compared to what Democrats have done. But check this out.
President Biden is considering giving preemptive pardons to the likes of Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Anthony Fauci. If President Biden doesn't issue those pardons, do you think they are going to wish that he had? Are they going to be pursued?
I can tell you this about Cheney, and she's a so-called Republican. I think she hurt the Democrats terribly. When I saw that Kamala put Cheney out on the campaign trail, I said, that's the end of Kamala. I really did. I thought it was a terrible move, especially if you're a Democrat. But Cheney did something that's inexcusable, along with Thompson and the people on the Unselect Committee of political thugs and, creeps. So the Unselect Committee went through a year and a half of testimony. Wait. They deleted and destroyed all evidence of that they found. You know why? Because Nancy Pelosi was guilty. Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 troops. You wouldn't have had a J6 because other people were guilty. The people that said that I attacked 2 Secret Service agents in a car. I grabbed one around the neck. I was then rebuffed, and I grabbed the other one. These are 2 of the toughest men anywhere on the planet. They happen to be slightly younger than me, maybe, just a little bit. Let me just tell you. They testified. They said it was total.
The trade war with his
And all of this stuff came out. People lied so badly. Now, listen, this was a committee, a big deal. They lied. And what did they do? They deleted and destroyed a whole year and a half worth of testimony. Do you know that I think those people committed a major crime.
Sir?
And Cheney was behind it. And so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think?
I think everybody anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
No, not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that, but I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
When you say that.
So why were they preemptively pardoned? They were preemptively pardoned because almost certainly A whole bunch of criminal activity took place. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. They're looking at completely erasing those preemptive pardons. Hit subscribe. This is huge.